Hello everyone. Today we are going to begin with the new chapter, Molecular Basis of Inheritance. Now in Molecular Basis of Inheritance, Mendel suggested that there are many factors or genes that maintains the genotype and the phenotype of an organism generation after generation. Now after many investigation done by the scientists, it came into the conclusion that DNA is a genetic material for majority of the organisms, while RNA is a genetic material for some viruses, as well as RNA has different important role as well. Now in this chapter we are going to learn about the genetic material in detail, that which scientist contributed to what particular experiment. Okay, so here we go in detail about the chapter. Now when I have to talk about the DNA and the RNA as a genetic material is that substance which controls the inheritance of the traits. Now when I say traits are the characteristics that have been inherited from one generation to the next. Okay. Now following are the criteria that a molecule must fulfill which act as a genetic material. The first one is it should be able to replicate by itself. Okay. Next, it should provide the scope for slow changes, that is mutation. Now when I say mutation, it is a change in the DNA sequencing which are required for evolution. It should be stable both chemically and structurally. Okay, so according to these criteria, both the DNA as well as the RNA, which is the genetic material, have the ability to direct their duplication, which means it can make another form of it. Okay, using specific processes, whereas the other molecules in the living system fail to fulfill first criteria itself. That is, for example, protein. Now protein cannot replicate by itself. That is what they are saying, right? Now if I have to move ahead with the transforming principle. Now in transforming principle, who put forth the transforming principle? The name of the scientist is Frederick Griffith. In which year? 1928. He carried out a series of experiments with a bacteria named Streptococcus pneumoniae. This is a bacteria which causes pneumonia. Okay. Now he observed that when these bacteria, that is Streptococcus pneumoniae, were grown on a culture plate, some of them produced smooth, shiny colonies, which is known as an S strain, or you can say S type, whereas the other produced the rough colonies, which is R type. Okay, now this difference in appearance of the colonies, that is smooth or rough, is due to the presence and absence of the mucus, that is polysaccharide. Okay, that is a polysaccharide coat or a mucus coat that you can say. Okay, now in this experiment, he first infected two separate groups of mice. Okay, the mice were infected with the S strain, died from pneumonia, as S strain are virulent strains causing pneumonia. Now when I talk about the S strain or virulent strain, why are they virulent? Because they have a coat which is known as a polysaccharide coat or a mucus coat, and because of that they are said to be a virulent strain. So that is the reason when S strain, when injected to the mice died, since it's a virulent strain. Whereas the rough strain, that is R strain, the rough colonies, if you inject into the mice live. Why? Because they are non-virulent, right? But what if we heat kill, we meaning what if the bacteria is heat killed? Now Griffith observed in the same way. What did Griffith do? He heat killed the S strain bacteria. Okay, he heat killed the S strain bacteria and he thought whether the virulence factor will still exist. So what did he do? He heat killed the S strain bacteria, injected into the mice live, right? But what if the S strain and the R strain are combined together? The S strain heat killed plus the R strain combined together, when you inject into the mice died. Okay. Now from this experiment, what did Griffith conclude? He concluded that the live R strain bacteria had been transformed by the heat killed S strain bacteria. That is, some transforming principle had been transferred from the heat killed S strain, which helped the R strain bacteria to synthesize a smooth polysaccharide coat, and thus it became virulent. So this must be due to the transfer of genetic material, right? So however, it was not able to define the biochemical nature of the genetic material from his experiment. So the next, if you have to carry out the biochemical characterization of transforming principle, there were three scientists who were involved here. One is, the names of the scientists are Oswald Avery, Colin MacLeod and McCarty. Okay. in the year somewhere 1933 to 44. They worked to determine the biochemical nature of the transforming principle. Now when I say the biochemical nature, it is nothing but whether it is a DNA, RNA which is acting as a genetic material there. Okay, so prior to his experiment, the genetic material was thought to be a protein. So during this experiment, purified biochemicals, that is the protein, DNA or RNA, etc., from the heat-killed S strains were taken to observe which biochemicals could transform the live R cells into the S cells. So they discovered that RNA alone from the heat-killed S strain bacteria caused the transformation of non-virulent R-type bacteria into an S-type virulent bacteria. Okay, so they also discovered that protein digesting enzymes, that is proteases, and RNA digesting enzymes, that is RNases, did not inhibit this transformation. So they proved that the transforming substance was neither protein nor an RNA, but it was the DNA digesting enzyme, that is DNase, which caused inhibition of transformation. So thus the scientists, these three scientists, Avery, MacLeod and McCarty, came to the conclusion that DNA is the hereditary material, but still not all biologists were convinced with this statement. So later on, who came into existence by determining that the genetic material is DNA is Hershey and Chase. The complete name of Hershey is Alfred Hershey and complete name of Chase is Martha Chase. Okay, the proof that DNA is a genetic material came from their experiment, Hershey and Chase experiment in 1952. Now they carried out some experiments with viruses that infect the bacteria, which is known as bacteriophages. When I say phages, it is a word which relates to viruses. Bacteriophages, the viruses that infect the bacteria. Okay. So the genetic material of bacteriophage enters the bacterial cell after the bacteriophage gets attached to the bacteria. Now Hershey and Chase experimented to find out whether it was protein or the DNA from the virus that entered into the bacteria. They took two separate media for growing these bacteriophages. Out of the two, one medium contained radioactive phosphorus and the other medium was radioactive sulfur. Okay. So the viruses were grown on each medium. Viruses, that is the bacteriophage, were grown on each medium. The viruses grown in the presence of radioactive phosphorus contained radioactive DNA but not radioactive protein. So this is because DNA contains phosphorus, not the protein. Okay. In the same way, the viruses grown in the medium containing radioactive sulfur now contain radioactive protein and not radioactive DNA. This is because the DNA does not contain sulfur. Okay. Now these radioactive viruses, that is the bacteriophages, were then allowed to attach to bacteria which is E. coli. Okay. As the process, now when it is allowed to attach to the bacteria E. coli, that time we can say completely it's a bacteriophage, right? As the process of infection with virus continued, the bacteria were agitated in a blender and the viral coats were removed from the bacteria. Okay, now this agitation was, they spinned it in a machine which is known as centrifuge. Okay, so when they were spinned in a centrifuge, the virus particles were separated from the bacteria. Now they observed that the bacteria that were infected with viruses containing radioactive DNA were radioactive, whereas the bacteria that were affected with radioactive proteins were not radioactive. So what does this indicate? That only DNA and not the protein coat entered the bacterial cell from the viruses. So thus they concluded what? The genetic material that is passed from a virus to a bacteria is DNA. Okay. So from the Hershey and Chase experiment, the fact was established that DNA acts as a genetic material. But later studies revealed that in some viruses, for example TMV, that is tobacco mosaic virus, and many other, RNA is acting as a genetic material. Okay. Now if you go with the structure of the DNA, now the DNA, that is deoxyribonucleic acid, acts as a genetic material in most of the organism, as I said earlier, but it is a long polymer of deoxyribonucleotides. The number of nucleotides of the base pair, in short we say it as small p, present in the DNA determines its length. This length is also the characteristic of an organism. Okay, for example, if you have to say E. coli, that is Escherichia coli, what is the base pair? It is 4.6 into 10 raised to 6 base pair. Okay, so if you have to go with the structure of the polynucleotide chain, that is a DNA or an RNA, a nucleotide is composed of a nitrogenous base, second is pentose sugar and a phosphate group. Okay, now when I talk about the pentose sugar, there are two types of sugars which are present. One is ribose, one is deoxyribose. Now when I say ribose, you know it is in case of RNA, and when I say deoxyribose, it is in case of DNA. When I say about the nitrogenous base, the second one, it is a nitrogen containing organic molecule having similar physical properties of a base. So there are two types of nitrogenous bases, one is purines and another is pyrimidines. Now when I say purines, it is the A and G, that is adenine and guanine. And when I say pyrimidines, these are C, U and T, that is cytosine, uracil and thymine. Out of pyrimidines, cytosine is common for both DNA and RNA, while thymine is present only in DNA and uracil is present in RNA. Now, how is the pairing? The pairing is by ATGC, mean A with a double bond pairs with T, G with a triple bond pairs with C, or vice versa, C to G or T to A, right? This is in case of DNA. Now, if I have to talk about the RNA, there is no thymine present. So instead of thymine, what is there? It is the uracil. So A pairs with the uracil. Okay. A nucleoside is formed when a nitrogenous base is linked to a pentose sugar through N-glycosidic linkage. Now, for example, adenine plus ribose sugar will give what? Adenosine. Adenine plus deoxyribose sugar will give deoxyadenosine. Guanine plus ribose sugar, guanosine. Guanine plus deoxyribose sugar, deoxyguanosine, etc. Okay. The third one, if I have to talk, is about the phosphate group. Now, a nucleotide, or you can say as deoxynucleotide, depending upon the type of sugar present, is formed when a phosphate group is linked to 5' OH of a nucleoside through a phosphoester linkage. Okay. Two nucleotides, when linked through a 3' N to 5' phosphodiester linkage, form a dinucleotide. Okay, in a similar fashion, more nucleotides may join to form a polynucleotide chain. Okay, so this was about the structure of the polynucleotide chain if we consider for DNA or an RNA. Now then, when I have to talk to you regarding the discoveries related to the structure and the composition of DNA. Now, different scientists, let's talk about the first one, that is Friedrich Miescher in 1869. Identified that DNA as an acidic substance present in the nucleus. Now he termed it as nuclein. Okay, initially he termed it as nuclein. Now this compound was later renamed as nucleic acid due to its acidic properties by Altman. Sorry. Okay. The second one is Levin. He found DNA in 1910. I am talking about 1910. He found that DNA to contain phosphoric acid as well as deoxyribose sugar. So he characterized 4 types of nucleotides present in DNA. The third one, Erwin Chargaff. Now Chargaff in 1950, he formulated important generalization on the basis of the contents of DNA, which is called Chargaff's rule. What does it state? As I said earlier, it states that for a double-stranded DNA, the ratios between an ATGC, that is adenine and thymine and guanine and cytosine, are constant and equal to 1. So if it goes like this, it is A plus T upon G plus C is equal to 1. The next one is Watson and Crick, that is James Watson and Francis Crick in 1953. They proposed a double helix model for the DNA structure on the basis of X-ray diffraction data produced by Morris Wilkins and Rosalind Franklin in the same year. So one of the important features of this model was the complementary base pairing. Okay, now if you have to talk about the next contribution, that is the Watson and Crick model for DNA. Okay, now here Watson and Crick worked out the first correct double helix model of DNA, which explained most of its properties. Now what are the silent features of a double helical structure of DNA? The first one is what the DNA is made up of 2 polynucleotide chain. The backbone is constituted by the sugar phosphate while the nitrogenous bases project inwards, right? The second is the 2 chains have anti-parallel polarity. That is when one chain has 3' to 5' polarity, the other has 5' to 3' anti-parallel arrangement, right? So next, The bases in two strands are paired through hydrogen bonds to form base pairs. Now adenine is bonded with thymine of the opposite strand with the help of two hydrogen bonds. That is a double bond. In the same way, guanine is bonded with cytosine of the opposite strand with the help of three hydrogen bonds. So a purine bonds with a pyrimidine always. Okay. So maintaining a uniform distance between the two strands of the helix. Fine. The next is what? The two polypeptide chains are coiled in a right-handed fashion. Okay, so the pitch of the helix is what? 3.4 nanometer or 3.4 into 10 raised to 9 minus 9. So the number of base pair in each turn is 10, and the distance between each base pair is distance between a base pair is what? 0.34 nanometer. Okay. Hope you understood the concept for today. That is about what we studied about the transforming principle. We studied about the DNA and RNA, which is acting as a genetic material. We studied about the Hershey and Chase experiment, that how DNA is acting as a genetic material. Yes, and we studied about the silent features, right? So please go through it properly, study well. Thank you so much.